Good afternoon, class. I hope you are all doing good. And since the situation is like this, we have to take class in online mode. But even though it is in online mode, I want you all to cooperate with me. That is by listening to what I'm going to explain to you, okay? So before that, I want you all to take the text with you so that you can see from there what I am explaining. So, in the last class, we have completed this chapter 1 of history. And yeah, one more question is left from there. I'll give you later on. And for today's class, we are going to do with this chapter 1 of geography, that is resources. We are going to learn about the resources. So, what is resources? Resources is anything that can be used to satisfy our needs. It is anything which satisfy human needs. It is those things which are in the environment where the human use them directly or transform them into usable materials to satisfy their needs. Some of the examples of resources are air, water, food, minerals, or means of travel, means of communication, entertainment facilities, etc. And these resources is being divided these resources it may be man-made or natural resources. And natural resources are those resources which are taken from nature. They are those resources which are being used without modifying them. They remain the same as they exist in this earth. And the example of these natural resources are rivers, lakes, air, soil, minerals, trees, mountains, and so on and so forth. And the next is the human-made resource or the man-made resource. These resources are not provided to us by nature. It is the human being, or it is the human themselves who try to manufacture things for their own needs in their everyday life. For example, these human needs are some of the example of it are vehicles, buildings, roads, telephones, etc. And the use of these resources, it depends upon the needs of the people, their knowledge, and their use and their level of technology. And the next one is the classification of resources. This resources is being classified on the basis of sources of origin, and the first one is on the basis of renewability. And under this, there are two resources, and the first one is exhaustible resource. This exhaustible resource is known as renewable resource. This resource, it can be used without any risk of its ending. There is we can use it as much as we need it. Okay, because this renewable resource, it exists with unlimited quantity. For example, some example of this renewable resource are air, water, soil, solar energy, wind energy, hydropower, etc. And the second one is the inexhaustible resource. These are known as the non-renewable resource. This type of resource, this resource is opposite to the renewable resource because they cannot be renewed. This resource, there is a limit in it we might not know, one day it might be finished. And some of the example of these resources are oil, natural gas, coal, and so on and so forth. For example, especially in today's world, with the increase of population, a huge number of people are we use this resource in our everyday life. We might not know one day it might finish because this type of resource, it cannot be renewed anymore. That's why it is known as non-renewable resource. And the second one is on the basis of origin. It is being divided into two categories, that is biotic and abiotic resource. Biotic resource are the living organism in the ecosystem. They are obtained from the biosphere. And the example of this biotic resource are the plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, and so on and so forth. And the abiotic resources are the non-living things, where they usually obtained from the lithosphere, atmosphere, and hydrosphere. And the example of these are water, air, soil, sunlight, and minerals. And the third one is on the basis of utility. Every resources has some utility, where some use as energy, some as raw materials, and some as food. And the first one is in the form of food. Man obtained those resources which were used as food, like cereals, beverage, vegetable, milk, etc. And the second one is raw materials. These raw materials are those resources which are used by the company to produce goods, that is on the basis of industrial development. And the third one is the use of energy. Some of the example which use or which has benefited, it bring benefits to us, because it is in plain area where we can construct roads, we can construct a house, where we can cultivate these crops and all. That's why this in plain areas, it bring benefits to us. And next is the land utilization. The utilization of the land, it depends upon the physical factors. And here we are going to learn about this pattern of land utilization in India. They are the result of the continued interplay of physical elements like topography, climate, and soil, and human effort, guided by a host of social-economic conditions. The predominance of forest in Andaman and Nicobar Island, Mizoram and Tripura is primarily on account of heavy rainfall, whereas large part of Rajasthan and Gujarat are barren and cultivable mainly because of scanty rainfall. A high eroded or ridge relief is responsible for the large portion of land being classified as barren and uncultivable in Manipur, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Mizoram, and Madhya Pradesh. So we have learned so far about these resources. There are different types of resources. So I'll stop here for today. Thank you. Agriculture, forestry, mining, transport, communication, etc. All of these, they work through energy or with the use of energy. And the future progress of the world, it would depend on how we use or how we conserve these energy resources. Thus, it is said that economic development of the country, it depends upon the availability of different resources in the region. It also depends on the need and aspiration of the people and the skills and technology possessed by them. So now we will come to this natural resource. You know, these natural resources are those resources which occur naturally, as I have said earlier. These natural resources are those resources that exist without any action of humankind. They are not man-made resources, but they are the substance that occur naturally. They may be renewable or non-renewable resource. So now we are going to learn about the land. Land is the solid part of the surface of the earth where human beings live and obtain most of their need from it. We people, we live on the land. We lie or we settle down on the land. And we obtain our things, whatever we need also, we obtain from the land itself. Man has used land for so many things like constructing buildings, roads, railways. We have used this land for so many things for our needs in our life, like constructing of land, constructing of building, road, railways, land, cultivation, rearing of animals, mining, industries, etc. The surface of the land is not uniform over a large area. Landform is not only vary in size and shape from place to place, but it also change with the passage of time. This land, it will not be stable or it will not be remain the same, but it keeps changing from time to time and from place to place. Some sudden change which brought about in the land, like earthquake, volcanic eruption, and flood. And the major landform on the continent are mountain, plateaus, and plain. So now, let's see what mountain is. I think you all know what mountain is, and you have seen the picture of it maybe in real or in phone, in television. I think you have seen the picture of this mountain. These mountains are generally understood to be larger than this mountain. They are similar with the hills area, but then these mountains are large in size. They are huge, and even their height is their height and their size is large compared to the hills. They usually have steep sloping sides and sharp or rounded ridge and a high point, which is called as peak. They are formed when huge area. These mountains are formed when huge area of land hit each other. And the major mountain of the world had abundance of snow and glacier, where no vegetation was ever seen in this mountain. We cannot. It's very rare to see that we cannot see, or we cannot cultivate any crops or anything in this in mountain part. Their forests and beauty were a source of attraction of people, but now man is using this mountain as their resources. Horticulture is being practiced successfully on the slope, and valley are intensely irrigated and cultivated. And the next one is the plateaus. These plateaus is an elevated flat land that is different from surrounding plain. They looks like a large table. These plateaus, it is a flat land, but then it is different from this plain land or the normal plain which we used to see in our area. They are also known as a high plain or a tableland. They are also known as a high plain. It is plain, but it is a bit high, and or tableland. They are rich in lava, which made the soil fertile. Because of that, this plantation agriculture is still being enjoyed by plateaus dwellers in India, East Africa, and Brazil. And the third one is plain. Plain is different from plateaus. Like both are flat. They are the flat land, but then they differ from each other. These plateaus, they are flat land but with flat top. But these plain areas is an unraised flat areas. A plain is a broad areas of relatively flat land. These plain are one of the major landform or type of land on this earth. They have benefited of the rich alluvial soil brought by the river. They have high density of people, easy means of communication and transport, and they are also rich in agriculture all over the world. In this